Happy Sunday, all you beautiful people. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's going to be a fun stream. Let me know what you have in your glass, what you're drinking. Hit that like, hit that share, all that fun stuff YouTube likes us to do. I am starting with Smugglin' Nun Irish Poitín. This is a good one. It is available all over the US too. So let me see who we got. You're going to see me reaching over here. I've got a new setup. So old computers out, new computers in. I'm back to working on a MacBook, and I'm still kind of getting the kinks out. It's been a bit since I've used a MacBook, and I already have found out I need a Bluetooth mouse because my mouse does not work. We had Whiskey Uncensored Ben here first, Irish tequila night. I gave Ben a whole flight of Poitín, and he thought it tasted like tequila, except for the real peated stuff. You seem to like that one the best. Hey, cheers, Bourbon Neophyte. It's good to see you, Anthony. We have Mr. Mom 310. Cheers to you. It's good to see you. Cheers to you, Lisby. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Hey, cool running. It is good to see you. I hope you ended up surviving all of the flooding. I saw you guys had a bit of flooding up there. Looked like the train from Belfast to Dublin got delayed a bit for it. So hope everything is well with you. Cheers, Sugar Kitty. How are you doing, Sugar Kitty? All right, yes. Remember, lick the like the lick. It tastes like someone in a habit hiding illicit spirits. Well played, good sir. So I am going to introduce my guests. So I wanted a co-host, someone who is just as big into Irish poaching as myself and got to experience some of it when I was over in Ireland. So please help me welcome my friend Lisa, the Dram Between.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Stacy. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks. It's good to be back. I think my last time
Long time no
here.
see. I know
Yep.
it's only been about a month.
um,
So our guest, our special guest tonight, which is joining us all the way from Ireland, is wonderful gentleman, the founder of the Poitín Now experience. Please help me welcome Fran Leavey. Fran, how are
Yay.
you?
Hey
hey,
guys,
Fran.
good to see you both.
Hey, it's
It's
good.
good to see you. We still got Amy joining us. Hello, Amy,
Hey, Amy. Hey.
from Oberon's Irish Pub over there in Arizona from her special room. So I think Elisa, you have Smuggling Unpoured as well. Fran, what are you starting with
And
tonight?
right now.
I'm actually going to start with this beauty here from Dave Mulligan.
Oh, Bon.
Yeah, so it's a release he's just done, finishing a cocktail cask, and it's pure chocolate and figs, and it's absolutely delicious. He had it at the event yesterday, and everyone was just blown away by it. I think he only produced 50 bottles of it, so
Oh, wow. That
Yeah,
sounds unreal.
wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
it's
Sounds
gorgeous.
unreal.
So that's what I'm on.
Still,
So,
still have some
Sloan.
people joining us here. We have Derek Whiting. Cheers, Derek. How are you doing? Miracle Martinez. Cheers, all. If you all have, while we're talking, if you guys have any questions about the festival, if you have any questions about Irish poaching, Fran is the man to ask. So one of the questions we actually started with, for people who don't know, tell everyone about the Poitín Now Festival. Right? It's a festival experience event.
Yeah, so call it what you will. It's a beautiful little gathering. Yesterday was our third year. Can't actually quite believe that. Um, it all began with a conversation myself and Brendan Carty up in Cologne were having a few years back, and we're both passionate about poaching. Um, and we're just sitting out in the grass one day, and I said, "Come here. How would you feel if I organize a dedicated poaching event?" And he nearly bit my hand off at the prospect. um, because poaching, it gets such a, it gets such a poor rap, when put beside Irish whiskey, I guess. So the thought of having a dedicated festival was just very appealing to Brendan. And I was delighted that he was on board, because I'd been talking about it for a couple of years with my partner. And she was, yeah, go for it, absolutely, do it. So that's how it all started. And the ideal location for me to have it was in Bar 1661 in Dublin, which I know you've been to, Stacey and Lisa. We shared a few drinks there ourselves. Because yeah, Poitín, our Bar 1661, I call it the Temple of Poitín, because it's run by Dave Mulligan, who has the aforementioned brand Bawn, and he's been plugging away at Poitín for 12, 13 years now. He was the first, actually. He's the one that kind of got me into Poitín, in as much as when I discovered Bawn Poitín and tasted, and I was kind of, wow, this is really good, because I grew up with those illicit bottles in the back of the press in various friends' houses. And yeah, we kicked it off, as I said, the year before last, and 2022, and yesterday was year 3. Can't believe it. And it's a very small affair, because obviously there aren't that many Poitín producers. Most of the distilleries naturally focus on whiskey, because it's not as hard a sell, if you like. But the few that were there, we'd 10 exhibitors yesterday. Unfortunately, we didn't have the fabulous Maura representing herself with Smuggling Nun, but there were bottles of Smuggling Nun being passed around throughout the day. Her spirit was well represented and well loved, as is she. So yeah, it's small, it's intimate. Excuse me. Everybody gets great access to the distillers, and because it's so small, you can have a chat with the distiller, taste what they have to offer, move on to somebody else, return to them. It's just lovely. The atmosphere it's actually quite unique in terms of any sort of whiskey event or spirit event that I've ever been to, and that's the general feedback as well. It's really intimate, it's really friendly. And then yesterday again we had Fionn O'Connor, who you'd both be familiar with. So he's currently got his crowdfunding project, The Crater, on the go, and he read a chapter from the book.
Oh wow!
Which is great, and I was kind of I wouldn't say anxious. I was kind of going when he told me it was about 20 minutes. So I'm not sure you're going to be able to hold him for 20 minutes, but I forgot how well he reads. He reads so well, and it was just so well received. And there were various drams kind of to accompany bits of the chapter, so it was lovely. And then the drinking with Frown. There's just a sentence in the chapter, I like drinking with Frown, so everybody kind of latched onto that. That's a t-shirt for next year, sorted.
That would make a good t-shirt.
A perfect shirt.
Yeah. But the great thing about yesterday, as well as being the 3rd year, it's the last Poitín Now as it has been. It's going to change next year. It's going to become a different event, or should I say, it's going Poitín Now itself. Which some people refer to as a brand over here. It's just a name that I came up with for the event. There will be a Poitín Now component to it, but it'll be a bigger affair where I'm trying to get Poitín out to people outside of the community, the whiskey community, if you like. And I think we're now in a position to do that. There's a few brands, and Bar 1661, obviously, after 2 years at one Bar of the Year in Ireland, its reputation is just growing and growing for cocktails and what have you. So I think the time is right to sort of start trying to push it out to the general public. And that was kind of evident actually yesterday, in that there was a lot of new faces.
Oh, that's great.
That's great. Yeah, that is. I saw a lot on Instagram and a lot on even Facebook of people traveling. They were heading to the Bar 1661 for the event on Saturday. So that was really exciting to see all of these different people that were going.
Absolutely. And for some of them, we had a pretty bad storm on Friday into Saturday. So
yeah, is it Bert's?
Yeah, like the Belfast were cancelled at one point, and
Oh wow.
Yeah.
the people traveling down were stranded and a bit delayed in that. So yeah, it was great, and to see young people and lots of young women, there as well, who were really, really trying to learn and to see what poaching was all about. It was fantastic.
That's amazing. Do you think next year it'll still be a standalone event, or will it be part of?
Or do you think has it outgrown Bar 1661, do you think, to where you need a larger venue?
No, it's not that it's outgrown it specifically. We probably could have definitely increased the tickets available, but obviously we're restricted with the size of the bar and the premises next door. But I think within the community, there's only so many people who are willing to sort of branch into poaching outside of whiskey. So it's more a case, as I said, of trying to get out of the community and get it into the general public psyche, because the product is there, the cocktails are there, everything is there, and we just need to get it out, and into people's hands and onto their lips, and they'll be converted pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, no
Well,
doubt.
Liz
Yeah.
has a good question. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pour this while you get into that. So one of the bottles that I picked up when Lisa and I were over in Ireland that I've absolutely fell in love with, and it's a little bit different, is the Short Cross
Mm.
Yeah.
Irish
Yeah,
poaching that has rye,
yeah.
which I absolutely love rye.
Mm.
So Liz says, I'm an Irish
It's
whiskey
a gorgeous.
novice. Please remind me, what is poaching and its history?
Okay, well, fundamentally, it's an unaged spirit, primarily made from grain. In fact, it's almost exclusively made from grain now by the distilleries. The only one who uses anything outside of grain really is bone poaching, which is distilled up in Ecklandville distillery. There is a potato component to that, but potato is very, very unusual in the arsenal of ingredients that poaching has ever known, because it's just so hard to get the sugars out of potato. So primarily, yeah, it's a grain spirit. Historically, barley and oats would have been the main grains. In terms of history, the history is really vague around it. There's lots of myths. It was invented here, it was invented there, etc. But I think it's as old as distillation is. In terms of the island, sort of North Donegal, which is in the northwest of the island, would have been the real sort of spiritual home of it. So we're going back to 1661, when King Charles of England introduced a tax on the distillation of spirits. And the Irish folk at the time basically said, "What, you want us to pay a tax on something we've been doing since time immemorial? There's no bloody way we're paying you any tax." And that's when it went underground. And, it was never actually banned. Distillation without paying tax was banned. But the Irish at the time were saying, "Well, feck it, we're not paying tax." So off they went up into the hills and started distilling it illegally. So yeah, I suppose in modern terms, we're talking 400 odd years, of sort of well documented mash bills and distillation processes. Then in the modern era, it wasn't until 1987 when the ban on distilling poaching legally was lifted, but it was only allowed to be distilled for export and primarily to the US. And then in 1997, that ban was further loosened to allow it to be sold within Ireland. Excuse me. And it was still a few years then before anybody really jumped on that. Nobody was distilling it really until the sort of, we're talking kind of 2008-ish, when Dave produced Bone Poaching. So there was a big gap, a 10-year gap when it was legal to do it, but nobody really got behind the spirit, if you like. But then with the renaissance of the whole, the new distillers, starting with Dingle, that's when the momentum began. But it was really then when Pádraig O'Greelish over in Mickle, in Galway, who's sixth generation poitín maker and the first legal one. He released a poitín which was just superb. And,
I love that they advertise it that way too. We're the first generation to do it legally.
yeah, that's good. And then Brendan, obviously up in Cologne, came along, and that just changed the game for everybody, I think, And following on from Brendan, sadly, he doesn't make it anymore, is Michael O'Boyle up in Boylock Distillery in Donegal. He produced some of the most incredible
Really
spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really
whatever spirit category you want to talk about, world class stuff. I don't know what he was doing up there, but
it's really good.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. It's very special stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you ever come across Boylock stuff on auction, grab them. Absolutely grab them.
Yeah.
I'm down to my last few cases, so I can't help anymore.
So Ben had a question. So Whiskey Uncensored, I had him as a guest on my channel, and I sent him a whole flight of poitín. And other than the peated poitín, the stone soup, and the Balkan, he gets notes of agave. So he wants to know, why does it taste like agave?
It's mad, isn't it? It's funny, you asked that question, because I was actually up in Brendan's house last year, myself and another pal. We were up having dinner with Brendan, and he pulled out some mezcals, and we were drinking mezcal. And I think I'd gone to the bathroom, and I came back, and there was a glass of clear spirit sitting, beside my seat. And I picked it up, and I nosed it, and I tasted it, and I said, "That's bizarre. I've never tasted poitín like that before." I said, "That does it mezcal." And are you kidding me? It's just that peaty, smoky. And I think what the way Brendan explained it was, in the production of mezcal or tequila, it's the burning of the agave plant itself produces that kind of smoky flavor to it, and which is very similar fundamentally to the effect the peat has on poitín. So yeah, they can be incredibly similar from that sort of peaty, smoky perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to, I think, the burning of the agave plant. That's my understanding of it, at least.
That's cool. Maybe
it is cool.
Maybe more so. I would assume maybe more. I could be wrong, but maybe more so in poitín that's like open, like the way Brendan does it.
Yeah.
The flame fed kettle, and
for the open, yeah.
Yeah, for the heat source instead of, steam or electric, but doing open flame for your heat source, maybe. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because a lot of recipes that I've seen that use tequila, you could use poitín as an easy substitute for any of them, and they're wonderful. So I get it. I could see the similar notes there. But
poitín margarita is delicious. That's all.
That was really good.
I really need to venture into the whole cocktail end of poitín. Anytime in bar 1661. I think the last time we were there, Lisa, actually, we were looking through the new menu, which was just spectacular. But I just wanted it yet another Belfast coffee.
It was so when we were there, I'm pretty sure between Lisa and I, we drank every poitín cocktail they had.
Yeah,
we were there for a while.
We were there for a long time. It's nice to be there with friends that order differently than you, because you could all try each other's, so you can get through.
We were all taking pictures of each other's cocktails, because they were so amazing, just even visually. The cocktails are stunning, and the taste was brilliant. And I love that even that when you go to bar 1661, that someone in our group said, "Well, I just want to get us." And he said, "Okay, well, you can have that, but it comes with a side of poitín." And he's like, "Really?" Yeah, every Guinness he drank, here's your bond.
Oh, that's funny.
With every pint he had. and he loved it.
I
And
love
I think
Happy
that is
days.
so cool that they really truly embraced Poitín at Bar 1661.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it's
yeah,
like, well, even the name of the bar, 1661, the year
yeah,
that time introduced and it went underground. Yeah, it's all about poaching for Dave.
Yeah.
He loves his whiskey, of course, as we
Yeah.
all do.
yeah.
But God, I've never met a man who's more passionate about
That's
poaching.
really cool. I
And
love
then
to.
his
Oh, go ahead.
very good.
Sorry.
No, just the creation then of the Belfast coffee, which I don't. I think over the next 10 years or so, it's just going to become as popular, as well known as the Irish coffee.
I,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So for people who might not know what a Belfast coffee is, can you tell everybody what a Belfast coffee is? Because I'm sure
Absolutely.
everybody's heard of an Irish coffee.
Yeah. So if an Irish coffee is a hot drink, so whiskey, hot water, cream, and often on top there'll be whatever you choose to put on, sprinkle on top of it. So a Belfast coffee is poaching in place of whiskey. It's a cold brew coffee, so it's a cold drink. Then you have, I don't know, would you call it double cream?
Heavy whipping cream
Yeah.
Heavy cream, yeah, on
is
top.
what
And then,
that's what it's the equivalent in the US. Yeah.
yeah, and then a grating of fresh nutmeg on top. Has to be fresh nutmeg. No good putting the powdered stuff on. It's just,
Yeah.
seriously, it's the perfect breakfast drink, lunch drink,
It is.
dinner drink. It's just so good.
And that's funny that's what I was going to say about Bar 1661 is even if you show up exhausted, destroyed, jet lagged, and you meet a friend and they have a brand new menu of all these amazing, incredible cocktails, and you just both keep ordering Belfast coffees instead of the new cocktails, which is what we did that day, Fran. It's incredible. Like you keep thinking, oh, I'll just have one. And then you're on your third before maybe
I
it's
know, yeah. They're
it's
so good.
so
They're
it's
so
so
good.
balanced. It's so balanced. It's not
Yeah.
Mm.
And the
heavy.
ones that we had at Ecklinville with the Bon Pochine, that was just, it
Oh,
was so, so good. And
yeah,
it was the
Mm.
perfect way to round out the meal before
right.
we went on to drinking whiskey. It was so nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a good way to start your meal and end your meal.
It is,
absolutely.
yes.
Or just skip the meal and
And a nice
keep having.
palate
That's
cleanser.
your
Yeah.
meal.
We had a few
And
more
it's
people
great now.
jump
The
in
last,
here. Cheers, Bragmo.
yeah,
Thank you for joining us. And Mike Meyer, it was good to see you. Zenbird, how are you doing? If you guys have any questions, put them in chat. If let me know what you're drinking. You drink a whiskey or you having a pochine with us?
Mm.
I'm debating on what to move next, but
Should
I'm going to
we
finish this short cross here.
I was thinking we should do that Cologne, the festival release.
I think that would be a great one to continue with.
Um, it's really cool what Brendan comes up with each year. I love waiting.
absolutely. Yeah, did you get some of
I
this
did.
guy?
I was
Yeah,
very lucky, and a couple really
excellent.
amazing humans made sure I had some for tonight.
Well,
Yes.
It's amazing when you know the people involved. Yeah, I did tell Brendan that you were going to be coming on. We were going to be talking about the
Oh, that's
festival,
funny.
and
Okay.
he made sure Lisa and I had a bottle
Yeah.
to share with you.
wonderful.
So you have a yes.
So let me zoom in here. Yes, Sugar Kitty says typical day in Ireland. I want to eat light, and I'll just have a Belfast coffee or four.
That's
That's a
perfect.
good plan.
Make sure there's a
That's
Guinness in there to even it out, and you're good. Yeah.
Got to
let's
cover
see
all the
here.
food groups.
Yeah.
Solo layout. So we are having a festival. This was the festival release for Poitín Now. This is from good friends at Cologne. Peated popcorn, an experimental Irish poaching. There we go. I definitely got to get a mouse. Trying to reach over here is tricky. So Cool Running here, he is located up near Belfast. He said the last time he bought poaching was when he was an apprentice in the H&W shipyard 34 years ago, and it
No
definitely
way.
was not legal.
Cool.
Mm.
That is so cool. We did get to see that shipyard
Yeah.
when we were up in Belfast. We spent a week up there.
That is very
Yeah.
cool.
So this is 55% ABV. Do you want to talk a little bit about this bottle? Because this is a pretty interesting bottle, even as far as poaching goes.
It is, yeah. Well, it's that use of maize, but Brendan's always just trying new things.
He
Have you
really
tried
is.
it?
He's one you
Yeah,
can tell him he can't do it, and he's like, hold my beer.
yeah,
Hold,
absolutely.
hold my poitín.
Yeah, hold
Yeah,
my poaching.
like when I referred to Fionn O'Connor there earlier on, and the writing of the book The Crater, which is basically a history of distillation, beginning in Bologna in Italy, working its way up through Europe and then across into Ireland and to Scotland. Um, and there's a chapter in the book which is it's called, the Gaelic is An Buachail Quail Dove, which is, it translates as the dark, tall, slender boy. And it's a reference to a bottle of poitín. But there's a piece of music and a song by the same name. And a friend of Fionnan's is a lecturer at a university in Cork here in Ireland in musicology. And they hold the archive of a very famous Irish musician and archivist called Sean O'Riordan. And Fionn had come across a reference to O'Riordan when he was researching this song. So he got in touch with Porrick and said, can you see if you can find anything in the archive that relates to poitín? So not only did he find a reference, he actually found a recipe written on the back of a supermarket receipt.
Wow.
And after further investigation, it turned out there was another guy from County Clare who was living in Dublin when O'Riordan was up living in Dublin. And he actually, this is off the record, no one knows this, no, I'm kidding. He installed seemingly a poitín still into O'Riordan's house for him and gave him this recipe for poitín. And it became sort of center stage at many of the Irish music session that was had in the late 60s and 70s in Dublin. But the interesting thing about it is there's no grain. It's apples, potatoes, and molasses. That's it. Those three ingredients. So we were chatting about it, and Fionn just picked up the phone to Brendan and said, do you fancy distilling this? And Brendan said, hell yeah. So we all went up one day, spent 8 hours grating apples and
I remember that.
potatoes and producing this. But that's just Brendan, It's, to him, it's part of the whole tradition of poitín, the history of poitín, and he'll just do it. Damn the commercial benefits of it or not.
Right.
So he's been on. This
He's
is
always
great.
told me he's the worst salesman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's actually the best salesman. He's probably the worst businessman.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Liam and Shane, from Two Stacks, who are involved in Cologne, they're very clued in on that end of things. So they just let Brendan off to do what he wants to do, and we all benefit, thankfully. What is the full mash bill on this? I can't actually see.
Is it the
This is the corn.
So yeah, so it's a one-off mash bill specifically for Poitín Now. 8 bags of roasted maize and 4 bags of peated malted barley. You're never going to see that mash bill anywhere.
No,
not
never.
at all?
No,
For all the reasons, and yet it's, I mean, the warmth at the end of it, it's still lasting from my sip like 3 minutes ago, and it's beautiful. To be honest, it's beautiful. I would never think I'd want to drink like a smoky popcorn kernel, but here we are, and it's amazing.
That's what I was just going to ask, because there's a note that I get on this, and I was curious, Lisa, if you got it.
I mean, there's a lot more than just that smoke and the maize, but
it is prominent, and I don't so much. Well, I do kind of a little on the nose, but on the palate, I get kind of a smoky kettle corn.
Yeah, there's a sweetness for sure. I imagine that maize gives a lot of the sugar.
Yeah.
Well,
the first time I poured this, I'm like, well, this is just like sitting out at the fire pit eating a bunch of kettle corn.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah.
Explain kettle corn.
So kettle corn is something we have over here where it's made with they put some sugar in it as well as salt.
Okay, okay.
So it's a sweeter popcorn.
It's like
Yeah.
the best of, it's like sweet and salty. It's the
Yeah.
best of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's addictive. Yeah.
I can imagine. But the finish on that one is just
It's
spectacular.
incredible.
It just keeps, for me at least, the popcorn just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And
It's gorgeous.
And it kind of doesn't stop. What I love, it's not just like in your mouth. It actually like goes back up to like the nasal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it travels back up. It's amazing. It's
Yeah, and the peanut note is not the one I'm left with. It's that popcorn
No.
note that's
Yeah.
and it's a pretty long finish on this one.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, he's done it again. And I have to say, I'm a fanboy, obviously. So for me, it's just an absolute thrill to see my Poitín Now logo on a bottle of cologne. I'm just like a 15-year-old. I'm there to partner Bernie going, look.
There it is.
So happy.
You created the best, vehicle, or the festival you created was exactly what they needed to get the word out. And
It really did. I think that is one reason that Poitín has taken off to the extent that it has. Is definitely part of it is contribute to your festival. It really gives it kind of a platform to really showcase what is going on out there and how different and versatile it is.
Yeah. But as I said this, I think the very first year we were having a panel discussion, myself and I was hosting it, really getting Brendan and Dave Mulligan, Bon Poitín, and Porrick from Mickle, just how they influenced me and inspired me fundamentally, but I couldn't have done this festival 6 years ago, 7 years ago. The time I actually launched it, there was something to launch. There was just really good quality spirit. Yeah. Had I done it 10 years previously, I would have been struggling to find, two good producers.
Right.
So, it's that kind of symbiosis, I guess. The festival couldn't have come to life without the producers, and then the festival promotes the producers. So it's a really nice relationship.
Yeah.
And I think what's good for them as well is the fact that I don't have any skin in the game. I'm not a producer. I'm not trying to sell anything other than sell them, so it makes it very easy for them to all come together and, with a shared vision and a shared category. And I just sit in the corner and smile.
I wish we did have something similar in the US, because obviously, in the US we have moonshine, which I try to explain to people. No, Poitín really isn't Irish moonshine. It's kind of the other way around, because that's how we got moonshine was obviously all these people immigrating. So, but it's still kind of not, it hasn't come together. There's a few producers that have commercial moonshine, but it's just it doesn't seem to have the legitimacy that Poitín does. And I do think places like Bar 1661 also are a big influence that, because they've discovered cocktails. And you don't find bars with a whole lot of moonshine cocktails on their menu. And let me tell you guys, if you go to Ireland, please pick up a bottle, because it is amazing on cocktails. It's amazing what you can do with the cocktails.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah. I still wonder about that too, and I could be completely wrong because I am not remotely familiar with American moonshine, except I've never really liked what I've tried. Sorry to everyone.
I have both. I have the stuff that's in the mason jars, and then I do have, some of the Smoky Mountain is the big moonshine brand here in the U.S.
Okay.
So I've tried different flavors, but and it's there and it's flavored and people like it, but it doesn't seem to quite have the legitimacy. I think it does need, cocktails created around it, like Poitín has.
Yeah. I also wonder too, is it being created just as a way to, like, a quick, easy, cheap way just to raise some extra revenue, or is it being created with like that respect and like real historic, not commercial historic, but
I
do you
I
know?
think there are some brands that do, but unfortunately, I don't think they're embracing the mash bill as much,
Mm,
which, I think here that's one of the reasons I was so excited about this popcorn because here in the US, I mean, moonshine, it's corn sugar.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think they're more getting into the flavor aspect, right? Because that's a seller if you
right.
get flavor stuff. So they're going that route. But I would love to see, it embrace cocktails like Poitín has. I mean, Belfast coffee is, I mean, like you said, that's getting to be to the level of Irish coffee in popularity, and it's going to get
Mm.
there. So maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. And maybe in some ways just sort of in terms of, you know, the relative size of the American continent vis-a-vis Ireland and, you know, the tradition in Ireland, you know, obviously you have the urban areas such as Dublin and Belfast and that, but we're all kind of very well connected to, you know, to Donegal and to Galway and to the traditional Poitín areas. So I guess it's more, I don't, maybe the feeling of history or tradition or whatever, it's more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more shared because
Yeah.
That
we
is a
don't,
good point because I think moonshine is more kind of regionalized. It's more
yeah,
Appalachia in the South.
yeah,
Yeah, that
you
makes
know,
sense.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
like I lived in the States back in the 80s and, you know, living in Manhattan and then visiting somebody in Wisconsin, you know, yeah, they're both American, but
Yeah.
Vastly
they're
different.
nothing
Yeah.
like each other. You know what I mean?
Vastly. As a fellow Midwesterner from my Wisconsin friends, yeah, vastly
Yeah.
different.
Almost a different country. I mean, we're all
Yeah,
the same country, but we might as well be different countries at
yeah,
times just
Yeah.
from traditions and history and some culture
yeah,
and a lot of Irish poitín it is tied to that shared, like what you're
yeah,
saying, that unified history and tradition and everything on a smaller scale
yeah.
is easier to,
Yeah.
kind of unite around
Well,
and
yeah,
yeah.
and it's easier to get everybody to embrace an idea, perhaps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
But it
So
was
if you have someone traveling over to Ireland and they come to you and say, Fran, what is one bottle of Poitín that I should bring back with me? What are you something that they could just go into the shop? They can go into you know, one of the carry out shops, carry out Killarney and
Yeah.
wherever, and find
Yeah.
something. What are you telling them to grab and bring home?
I'm
ooh,
telling them to grab either a cologne or a mickle.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Those are two of my favorites too. That
Yeah,
would be
Yeah.
what I would tell
yeah.
Porrick released this one yesterday as well,
Oh, I didn't
which
realize there's a
Oh,
new
I didn't
one.
know.
yeah, it's
Oh,
the Imperial Stout finish, and
ooh,
really,
Ooh.
really good. It's really good.
is that one
So
just
he
a
has
festival
this sort of.
one too?
Hmm?
Oh,
Say
sorry.
again?
Is that one also just available from the festival, or is that going to
No,
be
no.
more?
I'm sure it'll be on the website.
Oh, great.
They
Okay.
started
Okay.
doing, over the last few years, a couple of cask finishes, and this is the latest one.
Yeah.
I need to start imposing more on
There's
my
only,
Irish friends that I have over there to pick me up these bottles.
yeah, you should.
The-
Um, I'll send you on my address. Um, yeah, so there's only 107 bottles produced, so they're all single
Ooh,
cask
okay.
editions. It's gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. So yeah, to answer your question, I'd say get a mickle, get a cologne,
Get a
and you
Mickle or
can't go
Cologne.
wrong.
Mickle is one of the places that I have yet to visit because when I was over in Galway, it wasn't open yet, but to the public yet.
Yeah,
But yeah, for anybody going out over to Galway, make sure you check out Mickle. I had some friends from Buffalo, New York, same state as
okay.
Lisa, but the western part, and they were headed off to Ireland. And he's like, "Hey, we're in Galway. Where should we visit?" And Mickle was the place I directed them to. I'm like, "You need
Yeah,
to go here."
Yeah.
yeah,
That heritage poitín was one of the first few I ever tried, and I was sold.
Oh, they're
I was sold.
their
Yeah.
standard poutine. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
heritage
Yeah.
is so good.
So good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go with those two. It's interesting what you were saying about the moonshine earlier on, and some distilleries just kind of trying to generate a bit of quick cash.
Mhm.
So definitely, sort of, with the, Teeling were the first new distillery in Dublin for 100 years,
Mm.
and the first thing they released was a poitín, and it's fine. It's a nice poitín, but it wasn't.
It's
What's
not the
that?
same as when they're really there's a dedication there into making a real quality product.
Yeah,
But we do have places that do that here. Buffalo Trace did a white dog, and
yeah,
it's okay. But it's totally different when you have that dedication into really making something, that stands out.
that's it. And the like, with Mickle and with Cologne and Bon poitín, obviously, and sadly, Boylock no longer producing at the moment. They were making the spirit to be poitín.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
That was the object.
Yeah, that was the end game. And I feel like too, you probably have to pay way more attention to every step along the way because you can't hide anything in aging.
No.
Like it has to shine on its own. It has to be beautiful. And
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions I get is is it just new make? Well, it can be, but
right,
it could also be made of things that don't qualify as whiskey.
right.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
so the poutine regulations, it seems like they're kind of it's still evolving. Do you see them changing in the future? Because I know like Brendan had some issues with the panker.
Mm.
He made some brilliant poutine, and then they said, "Oh wait, you can't do that."
Mm.
So, do you see those still evolving, or do you think they're going to be what we have is what we have?
No, I think there's going to be changes over the coming years, definitely. There is a lot of disagreement, which I find funny. I kind of want to get them all into the one room and give them a good spanking and say, I hear all of your ideas, they're great, but you're fighting over a category that literally doesn't exist. It's so small at the moment. What are you fighting about?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brendan, the Panger, the problem you ran into there was the blending, really. They're suddenly saying you can't do blended poitín, and I'm kind of going, you can do blended whiskey. What's the problem with blended poitín? Yeah, so there's a lot of differing opinions. Some of them I kind of feel they're because the person has a vested interest in a particular approach or whatever, maybe sort of aging for longer in a cask. For those listeners who don't know, you can rest poitín in a cask for
Rested.
yeah, you can't say it's aged 10
You
10
can't
weeks
say
maximum.
aged. You can't say matured. You can't say is it cask? You can't say, or
You can
there's a whole.
say you can say cask. You can't say what type of cask.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's all just all silliness.
Yeah.
Some people want to age it for longer because they have older spirit. Do you know what I mean? and then you have Dave Mulligan saying, "Well, no, we need to keep the aging limited because then we're getting away from a white spirit." And so everybody kind of has their opinion. So I think what they need is me to come in and say, "Here you go. This is the technical file." And you're
Yeah.
all going,
According
because
to
Yeah.
yeah,
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Have at it, lads.
yeah,
like we can talk about tradition and hundreds of years ago, etc., etc. But as you know, as I say, if they'd had column stills 400 years ago, would they have used column stills? Probably would have.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of it's been left without regulation for so long that people have gone off in different directions and tried different things, and that's their approach now, and that's part of history too. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see why.
I found this on the web.
Sorry, that's Siri. I don't see why we can't embrace it all. You
Mhm.
know, why if you want to use a hybrid still, Boylock use a hybrid still, use a hybrid still.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
traditionally it was made in a pot still, but that's all they had at the time.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make one entirely a popcorn, make it a popcorn.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe sort of expand the percentage of non-grain ingredients,
Yeah.
because you just produce more creativity in the category and more versatility within the category. And there's nothing. I always love the mezcal sort of classifications of heritage, industrial, and there's different ways, and you can only call it that if you make it that way. And maybe that's an angle as well. I don't know.
Well,
But
that's
yeah,
true.
there's definitely going to be change. We'll see. We'll see if it brings them all closer together or not.
It hasn't worked for whiskey, so I'm not optimistic.
No, no.
Yeah. So Raging Irishman says a coworker friend immigrated to Ireland 2 years ago. He's coming back to Chicago next month for Christmas. He'll ask if he'll bring me a bottle. So he's going to have
Okay,
his friend bring him a bottle of the Culloden or the Mickle.
brilliant.
The Raging Irishman, those are both great. I've got several Culloden poutines. I've got the Mickle. Lisa's got the Mickle.
Yeah, it's one of my
Those are both great. Those are both
favorites.
solid
Yeah.
brands.
You
We
can't
Paul Biking Bourbon checking in here, and Sugar Kitty says, "I have not been getting any older for years now. I'm only resting at home."
nice. I like that. I like that.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
Patreon winner, just so you guys are aware, I did finally get it drawn. It's posted to Patreon. Skip Livingston was the Patreon winner. So included in the samples that I'm gonna send you, Skip, I'm gonna throw in a sample of the peated popcorn so you can try this as well for yourself.
You won't be
nice.
disappointed. That stuff is
It
amazing.
is good. I'm telling you, it tastes like kettle corn at a fire pit. It's
Hmm.
it's exactly like kettle corn. We're gonna have to get Fran some kettle corn so he can
Oh,
try
that's
it.
a good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
so you
yeah,
can
our
try it.
next trip.
We learned that actually. It's funny because the smuggling nun, we actually did get to talk to Copeland when we were over there
Yeah.
about the smuggling nun poutine, and we walk in and they found out that my husband and I are from Ohio, and they're like, "Oh, well, Paul's from Ohio. He's from Tuscarawas County." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" Of all the
Mhm.
places, we're in Donaghadee and we run into an Ohio and working at Copeland, and he was kind of deciphering things. So candy floss, we call it cotton candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And he was talking about kettle corn as a note on one of their pours as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get you some kettle corn. I'm telling you, this tastes exactly like kettle corn.
yeah.
Excellent.
So Lisa, I just poured this sample that you sent me, which is
Oh
the
yeah.
on. You're gonna have to pronounce this.
I will allow Fran to pronounce
Hold that up there, Lisa.
Yeah,
it.
Hold that up.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, it's mirrored, but
So pot of dove, if you translate it to English, it's black pot.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pot of dove.
Yeah, use popcorn as packing material for our popcorn that we'll send to you.
Um,
You've obviously tried this, Lisa, already, and Stacey, you're about to try it now, are you?
I have not had this one yet.
yeah, it's been a while, so I'm pouring a tiny bit.
What was it Dr. Oats. Yeah, I had that at Bar 1661. I'm like, I want to try a pour
Yeah.
of this. So
That was
I got a
last
pour of
year.
that. That was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one,
He
the
can
pot
ask
of
his
dove one-
friend if his friend will mule back some kettle corn.
That might be painful.
Yeah. They'll let us ship kettle corn. There's no regulations about shipping kettle corn, but shipping snacks. So
Excellent.
but as soon as I open this, Lisa, I got apples.
Oh yeah. Well,
Big
yeah.
time apples.
Yeah, so
It was
that's
like-
they were the offcuts, weren't they, of the buccal quail dove, the one I mentioned, the apple, potato, and the last. Yeah.
So these
Yeah,
are
this as soon as you said that, it kind of made me reach for it and pour it as my last pour, and it is. It's as soon as I poured it, it's fresh apple juice. That's crazy. A little bit of cinnamon.
Did he redistill? No. Yeah. Did he redistill the offcuts? Or just
I
bottle them?
I don't think he did. I think
Huh.
that's largely heads and tails in there from what I
Oh,
recall.
wow.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Huh.
It's the first note I got was the apples, but I'm getting a little cinnamon, so it's like cinnamon and apple juice.
Hmm.
Wow.
This is dangerous. I mean, it's all
That's
dangerous.
beautiful.
But this is
It
There's
is
a
dangerous
good.
there's a little floral on the nose
because it's so
or on the
delicious.
palate.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This would be great for the holidays, honestly.
This would be.
I mean, like,
I am still getting that apple, a little bit of cinnamon on the palate, but there's a
mhm.
little floral note there too.
Hmm.
This reminds me of my mom when we were growing up would just, I forgot what kind of apples, but they were the giant apples, and she would just split them open, very slightly mash them, tiny bit of brown sugar, tiny bit of cinnamon, and just on a pan, roast them in the oven for a while, and everything would kind of caramelize. And reminds me of
It
that.
sounds like a Honeycrisp.
Yeah.
Do you mean the fall? Those big apples in the fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be Honeycrisp
Hmm.
because they have so much natural sugar in it.
Yeah. And they would just, this is like the juices
This would be dangerous.
fermented a little, but yeah.
This would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
That was a fun day making that because Brendan is he's all about tradition and with his flame fired stills and everything else. But like we hand grated those apples with like we
Wow.
were standing there all day just scraping.
That's amazing.
And someone came up, it was actually, I don't know if you ever met Danny, his neighbor who plays the uilleann pipe sometimes.
Yeah, when he was there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there when we visited Cologne.
Yes, when we first came in, right?
Yeah, he was playing he was the one playing through when we were there.
Anyway, he arrived in, he said, I have a food processor down the house, I'll go and get it. And like Brendan's face just as if to say they didn't have food processors when these were made. So yeah. There's a little bit of me in that potching because
I was going to say, I imagine you guys didn't have knuckles at the end of it.
Yeah.
Running those apples over the grater.
Little couple drops of blood. Nothing that can't be distilled out.
Oh. It's all good. We're all friends. It's all good.
It's delicious.
This is amazing. This is really good.
It is. It's
Yeah.
a great drop.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm gonna have some boilock next.
Mm.
Oh, the Mulberry Bay.
Oh,
Mm.
I'm such a slow drinker, and I have a lot. So if anyone's ever in New York, welcome. I have more than I'll drink in a lifetime.
We are gonna we need to schedule a visit for you next year.
Yeah.
We didn't this year because we were both in Ireland.
And we need
On
to
the
get
same
Fran
trip.
here. We need to get Fran here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the goal. And I know Maura would meet up, and
Oh, I would love to meet her.
and lots of people. Yeah. And it would be really cool to have some kind of poitín. I don't know if event is an event. Yeah.
Yes.
Event. I mean a lot of things, but I think New York is ready for something like that.
Mm.
I don't know if Ohio is. They enjoyed one of my whiskey tastings I did actually at one of the Irish organizations. I introduced them to Mickle, and they enjoyed it, but I don't know if they're there yet.
Yeah.
They're not a big cocktail crowd either, though. So
Okay. Yeah.
they enjoyed the whiskey. They liked the Mickle whiskey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of experimental stuff happening here, so I feel like people are really, and a lot of back to the land, and no waste and all of that kind of sustainable approach as well. And people are coordinating with each other, even if it's just regional. But I feel like that lends itself well to something like a poitín event. People would be interested.
This is so good. The apple.
It's
that and the popcorn are definitely my favorites of the night. That popcorn is just. Like I said, we're gonna have to, Fran. I'm gonna have to get you some kettle corn so you know the note that I'm picking up here.
Yeah,
But it is
definitely.
it's totally kettle corn on this.
Hmm.
Lovely, lovely drop, and it makes me think like trying to come up with some cocktail ideas for it.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I could see that being a really nice fireside cocktail.
Yeah, yeah, I could as well.
Definitely. Yeah. How what was I going to say? I saw that so this year's event, was it in the bar itself last year, or was it also in that annex, or the not annex, but the other space
Yeah,
that it has?
yeah. So Dave set up another business next door to the bar, called Craft Cocktails.
Okay.
You know, he actually set it up during the sort of the first COVID lockdown, I think. Um, so he you buy bottled pre-made cocktails in bottles or whatever. So we had in the bar itself we had 6 exhibitors. Because you know yourself, having been there, if you
But
put
not a lot of room. Yeah.
Yeah.
in there, it gets pretty crowded.
Yeah.
And then we'd 4 in Craft Cocktails next door, and that's where Fionnán did his readings as well. I'll be populating the Instagram Poitín Now page over the next few days with some lovely photographs.
Cool.
Get a feel for what it was like. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I
No.
was actually looking for some pictures, and some people had some posted, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to see all the pictures from Poitín. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to come next year. I would love to attend.
I
It's
will
just
join you if you're going. I will meet you.
I will connect through the airport in New York, and we'll go over bar. So for those of you who have a trip to Ireland, definitely plan a visit. Bar 1661. Location, if you you know where Temple Bar is in Dublin, you just go north across the River Liffey, and you go what about 3 blocks north,
Yeah.
4 blocks north, and it's right there on a corner. So
Yeah.
it's within walking distance of the Morrison Hotel. That I can tell you 100% because I walked my butt back after the event. I
Mm.
didn't. And it's such, you're going to be almost overwhelmed when you sit down and see this menu. It is, they're cocktail geniuses there. They've managed to take spirits and just elevate them on to a whole nother level. And it's one of the best bars I've been to in Dublin. So definitely make sure you put that one on your list. We were all really excited to visit. I mean, we parked there and stayed there we were there several hours. It was it was such a great time.
Yeah.
We had a whole lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
I made sure
And
I took the menu home.
Did you take your menu?
Well, you could buy it, and
Oh, okay. I didn't know you could buy it. I totally would have
you
bought one.
can. Yeah, and I
Oh.
had been meaning to buy the old menu for a while. So when this came out, I went for
I'm
it.
gonna have to go and buy one.
So you can try. I mean, I am
It's
not.
so cool. They have pictures of the drinks too, so you can see what it actually looks like.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's even coming from, I mean, I'm not in the city, but adjacent to the city, just here in New York, it's I mean, this would be one. There's a reason they keep winning awards. They're incredible. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced, cocktail wise, for real.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so far elevated for a cocktail bar.
And also not just the ingredients, but also the presentation and the different vessels, I'll even say, because it's not all
Yeah.
glasses that it's served in, but some ceramic cups or.
Well, even the service, we didn't know what we wanted.
Yeah.
I told, our server what I was into and what I kind of liked. And honestly, it was even better than just looking at the cocktails in the book. She nailed it every time.
Yeah.
The staff incredibly
The staff there
dedicated.
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
So
doubt.
we have one last question coming in from Mark, Mr. Great Shot. Cheers, Stacey, y'all. What is the best thing to mix with poaching? So if you're making a poaching cocktail,
Well,
Well, for me, the best thing to mix a poaching is a glass.
So funny you say that because that's what Ben said. Answer is your glass in your face.
in your face. I like that. That's really
I
funny.
love it. I love it. Yeah,
For
I
me,
don't know.
if you're really, I mean, I take the easy way. I haven't really tried a ton on my own. I try to like take classic cocktails that already exist and see if it'll work well. That's
Yeah.
why like I keep saying that Pachi margarita. And from what I've just personally, but also from what I've heard from other people, a lot of tequila based or mezcal based cocktails, which is what we were talking about earlier, it's a similar profile and they usually work really well in those kinds.
Yeah.
So the only one I've mixed, I kind of went with the fruity kind of floral. So I mixed it with some lemonade and then some fresh lavender from the yard and
Nice.
made kind of a summery cocktail with that. But that's
Yeah.
it. Other than that, I'm with you. I was drinking it neat.
Yeah. I think as well, if you go on to Bar 1661's website, I think they have the menu up there.
Oh, cool.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do, and you can get the sort of the ingredients for. It may not have the actual sort of breakdown of measurements or quantities and that, but it'll give you some really good ideas. And with a lot of the poachings, you know, the mixology in there is just incredibly because they match the mickle so well, and they match it with things that are so different to what they're matching Cologne with or Boylock with.
Oh, thank you, Sugar Kitty.
Oh, cool.
That is the link to the menu.
Nice.
Happy days. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no, have a look. Some lovely ideas.
Kind of like too what you're saying, Fran. Like they're not all poachings are the same exact flavor profile.
No, not at all.
You kind of have to know or try, have a little experience with the one you're going to mix before.
Yeah, you definitely do need to try it neat because the four that I just had tonight are all vastly different. I mean, the smuggling nun, the short cross, the pita popcorn, and the apple one that I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
Yeah,
it all is. They all have so many different flavor profiles, and that's what I think I appreciate. I think people who appreciate that about whiskey will really be able to appreciate Pacino as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the menu is a great starting place. It'll give you some good ideas. Definitely.
Did you say peated popcorn? Yes. It's a good thing, Ben, that next time you're coming through Ohio and will visit me. Peated popcorn.
For sure saying peated kettle corn.
Peated kettle corn. It does just taste like kettle corn. So we're gonna wrap up here. It is 7:04. Kilco Whiskey Musings is live now. Livewire is going live at 9 o'clock tonight. So Fran, what do you want to wrap up with? You gotta tell people one thing about Pachin. What's kind of the last thing you want to leave them with?
Give it a go. It's to me it just sums up. As an Irishman, it just sums up Ireland to me. It's everything about us. It's tradition. It's the land. It's the gastro history. It's storytelling. It's friendship. It's rebellion. It's everything, and it's also a great cocktail base. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's not.
I would love everybody going over there to pick up one bottle. I know they're going over to pick up whiskey, but pick up just a bottle of Pachin while you're over there.
Yeah. And in the meantime,
you could get this here.
Grab a smuggling nut.
And this is it's a beautiful Pachin, and it is produced in Ireland, but it's sold here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is mostly I don't know if is it outside of New England or just New England?
No, it's everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but most. I know it's in Colorado. I know her distribution became more widespread over the last year.
Okay. Yeah, so everybody go to Smuggling Nun to the website. This is great stuff. Lisa and I got to visit the actual distillery, Copeland Distillery in Donegal in County Down. So check their website for availability. It's legit. It's a nice one.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it's a
It
neat
is good.
story. It's a neat
It
story.
is a really cool story as well.
Mm.
Well,
Absolutely.
Fran, thank you so much for giving us your
Not at all.
time this weekend. I know it's a big time change for you, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Everyone else, I will see you all next week. Next week is the 1st of December. I will be having Independent Joe. He's coming on my channel. I sent him a whole flight of Irish whiskey. So he's going to come see what he thinks of this Irish whiskey. And then December 11th, I am going to be on Hello Again Whiskey Friends. I sent those guys a flight of some of the whiskey I picked up in Ireland. Going to give them some pictures. You're going to see and hear about the trip I had over there up to Belfast and up to County Down. And on December 15th, I'm still working out the logistics of time because it is a big time change for my guests in Ireland. But Sir Maurice O'Connell from A Wayward Irish Spirits is going to be my guest for the night. So we're going to
Great.
talk about his whiskey. I'm a wee bit of a fan, as you can tell.
I see.
So
You're a super
I'm
fan.
yeah, I'm kind of a super fan. I'm kind of a super fan. My husband may have told him that he could adopt me when he was in Ohio. So all of that's coming up. Thank you guys. Please go check out Poitín Now. If you're in Ireland, make sure you pick up a bottle of Poitín while you're there. And everyone, Sláinte, have a wonderful night.
Slanta.
Blanche, good night. Great to see you
Slanta.
guys.
Right.